Congratulations to Trey Treasure for being named one of the Kirksville Daily Express Basketball Players of the Week. Trey turned in a 24-point performance against La Plata on Monday night. Thursday afternoon, Brashear NHS hosted a blood drive from 1:30 to 5:30 at the Keller Building. The goal had been set to 25 units of blood, which was soon exceeded by gaining 39 units of blood total with 40. Thursday afternoon, Brashear hosted Barb Wise, who had an assembly of AIDS awareness. Barb came to share her story of how she herself had fallen victim to AIDS. She then told about how AIDS is contracted and how serious it truly is.
In the last game before Christmas break, the Brashear Lady Tigers and the Atlanta Lady Hornets met at Atlanta. In the early going, neither team could gain the upper hand, leaving the score knotted 11-11 after the first quarter. Brashear managed to outscore Atlanta 17-10 in the second quarter to take a 28-21 lead into the locker room. The Lady Hornets came out strong in the third and battled back to win within one at 40-39 after the third quarter, but Brashear put them away with a 22-point fourth quarter to win 62-46. Christina Scudder and Haley Kelsey were both in double figures for Brashear with 24 and 11 points respectively. Both had double-doubles, Scudder with rebounds and Kelsey with assists. Jessie Hill also had 9 points, Caroline Slavin added 8, Stephanie Elsie had 6, and Abby McKim and Emily Lodwig had 2 points. In the boys' game, Brashear took a slim 12-11 lead after one quarter, then used a 26-point second quarter to take a 38-20 lead into halftime. Brashear led 52-30 after three quarters and cruised to a 69-41 win. Cale Watson and Jacob Shippen were in double figures with 14 and 11 points respectively. Justin Hazen and Ryan Ferdig each added 8 points. David Anderson and Trey Treasure both had 6. Anthony Ambrosia and Matt Thomas put in 5 each. Kylie Watson had 4, and Jacob Owen scored 2 points. Last Friday, Brashear traveled to Schuyler County for a pair of varsity basketball games. In the girls' game, the Lady Tigers managed to hold Schuyler County at bay all during the first half with a score tied 6-6 after one quarter, and with Brashear holding an 18-14 lead at halftime. Brashear even managed to extend the lead to 6 points early in the third quarter before Schuyler County exploded with a series of steals for fast breaks and some hot outside shooting. The Lady Rams had built a 35-23 lead by the end of the third quarter and cruised to a 47-27 win. For Brashear, Christina Scudder had a 10-point double-double, Haley Kelsey had 7 points, Stephanie Elsie and Emily Lodwig had 4 points each, and Jessie Hill scored 2 points. In the boys' game, Brashear led 18-9 after one quarter and went into halftime holding a 28-20 lead. The third quarter saw the Tigers maintain their lead 44-34, but Schuyler County started edging closer in the fourth quarter while Brashear ran down the clock. The Rams closed the gap to trail by only a bucket, 47-45, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, but Brashear was able to successfully run out the clock, picking up 4 clutch free throws and a basket to hold on for the 53-45 win. Trey Treasure led a trio in double figures for Brashear with 18 points. Cale Watson had 13, Kylie Watson had 12, Justin Hazen added 8, and Matt Thomas had 10. Both the Brashear Lady Tigers and the La Plata Lady Bulldogs came into Monday night's game reeling from Friday night losses, La Plata to Lynn County and Brashear to Schuyler County. Both teams started out slowly, but by the end of the first quarter, La Plata had jump-started their offense and had built a 10-3 lead. Brashear got on track during the second quarter and went into halftime with a 20-19 lead. The game was back and forth in the second half, with La Plata up 28-25 after three quarters, but Brashear regained the lead during the fourth quarter. Ultimately, the Lady Tigers couldn't hold on to the lead, and La Plata got the win 34-33. Brashear's Christina Scudder led all scorers with 13 points, Haley Kelsey had 8, Jessie Hill added 4, and Stephanie Elsie, Abby McKim, Emily Lodwig, and Caroline Slavin had 2 points each. The boys' game was a much-anticipated rematch of the Novinger Tournament Championship game, which La Plata took by a score of 55-42. This time, the Tigers were playing without an injured Jacob Shipman, but proved ready to challenge the Bulldogs just the same. La Plata held a slim 10-9 lead after one quarter of play, but were able to extend the lead 27-17 at the half. Brashear wasn't able to close the gap in the third quarter and still trailed 45-33. In the fourth quarter, Brashear mounted a rally that had them within 5 points with a couple of minutes left in the game. At that point, the Tigers were forced to foul to try to get the ball back, and La Plata held on for a 55-46 win. Brashear's Trey Treasure led all scorers with 24 points. Kylie Watson chipped in 7. Kale Watson had 6. Matt Thomas scored 4 points. Ryan Ferdig had 3 points, and Justin Hazen scored 2 points.
Congratulations to the 8th grade Academic Bowl team for placing 4th in the Scotland County Tournament Saturday. The team members were Chloe Sykes, Nick Thomas, Andy Belzer, and Ashton Walter. The elementary team, made up of Angela McKim, Abby Hall, Allie Garnett, and Gabe Thomas, also made it to the championship round.
Congratulations to Christina Scudder on being selected to the Northeast Missouri District Band. The band held their annual concert last Saturday at the Moberly High School Auditorium.
Last Friday, Brashear faced Bevier for a pair of conference games. After suffering a 1-point loss to La Plata Monday, the Lady Tigers wanted anything but a slow start against conference rival Bevier, but 8 first-quarter points from Bevier's Caitlin Toll and sloppy ball handling had the Tigers down 10-0 early on and trailing 14-6 after the first quarter. After that, the Lady Tigers fired up and started their comeback with a 19-point second quarter, 11 coming from Christina Scudder. That strong second quarter allowed them to tie the game 25-25 at halftime. The Lady Tigers also came out strong in the second half and led 38-29 after 3 quarters on their way to a 48-41 victory. Christina Scudder and Haley Kelsey were both in double figures for Brashear with 15 and 10 points. Both had double-doubles with 14 and 13 rebounds. Emily Lodwig added 8 points, Stephanie Elsie scored 7, Jessie Hill had 6, and Caroline Slavin scored. The boys' contest saw Brashear explode with 32 points in the first quarter to take a 32-12 lead, and the Tigers were up 61-27 at the halfway mark. Brashear continued their run in the third, leading 85-42 after 3 quarters, on their way to a 97-51 win. The Tigers had 5 players in double figures. Kale Watson led with 23 points, Trey Treasure added 18, Ryan Ferdig had 17, Kylie Watson scored 12, Justin Hazen had 10, Matt Thomas chipped in 8, David Anderson had 4, Anthony Ambrosia had 3 points, and Adam Songer scored 2. Tuesday, in the first girls' game of the night of the North Shelby tournament, Brashear faced off against Atlanta. The game was close throughout the first half, with Brashear leading 9-8 after 1 quarter and 21-19 at the half. The second half was also close all the way, with Brashear leading 39-37 after 3 quarters and winning 50-45. Brashear had a trio of players in double figures. Haley Kelsey and Christina Scudder had double-doubles with 16 and 15 points. Caroline Slavin had 10, Jessie Hill had 6, and Emily Lodwig scored 3. In the first boys' game of the night at North Shelby, between Brashear and Marion County, the Marion County boys jumped out to a 14-9 lead after 1 quarter, then extended the lead to 26-14 at the half. Brashear battled back in the third quarter, closing the deficit to 35-30, then pulled within 1 point in the final minutes of the game, but couldn't gain the lead, and Marion County held on for the 51-47 win. Ryan Ferdig, Kale Watson, and Trey Treasure were in double figures for Brashear with 16, 13, and 11 points. Justin Hazen added 4, Kylie Watson had 2, and Matt Thomas scored 1 point.
On Monday night, members of FBLA came together in order to make Valentine's to send off to veterans. A special thanks to Nancy Platts for helping to organize the event and to Miss Reese for the FBLA sponsor, along with Miss Hazen for her help. On Thursday, BHS hosted a MoDOT representative who came and talked about career opportunities with our seniors, juniors, and sophomores.
Last Thursday, the Brashear Lady Tigers faced Knox County in the second round of the North Shelby tournament. Brashear managed to score first and led 4-2 in the early going, but Knox County turned things around to take a 15-6 lead after the first quarter and led 23-15 going into halftime. Knox County extended their lead to 30-19 after 3 quarters and went on to punch their ticket to the championship game with the 40-20 win. For Brashear, Christina Scudder had 9 points, Haley Kelsey scored 8, Jessie Hill had 2 points, and Stephanie Elsie scored 1 point. In the boys' consolation semifinals, Brashear faced North Shelby. North Shelby jumped out to an early 15-4 lead before Brashear closed the gap to 15-12 at the end of the first quarter. The game was close throughout the second quarter, with Brashear taking a 25-24 lead into the locker room. Brashear managed to extend the lead to 37-29 after 3 quarters, but North Shelby gradually closed the gap and held a 1-point lead with less than 30 seconds left. Brashear worked the ball inside for a final shot as the clock fell below 10 seconds, but North Shelby knocked the ball away, leading to a jump ball, and the last 5 seconds were allowed to elapse before the clock was stopped at 0.6 seconds. The ball belonged to North Shelby on the alternate possession rule, and the Raiders held on for the 44-43 victory. For Brashear, Trey Treasure had 13, K.O. Watson added 12, Ryan Ferdig scored 9 points, Kylie Watson had 4, Justin Hazen had 3, and Matt Thomas scored 2 points. In Saturday night's third-place girls game at the North Shelby tournament, Brashear got on the board first, but La Plata led 6-4 after 1 quarter and 18-5 at the half. Brashear held a slim 29-28 lead after 3 quarters, but were unable to hold the lead as 2 starters ended the game on the bench after fouling out during the 4th quarter. La Plata edged the Lady Tigers 41-40 to take 3rd place. Brashear scorers were Christina Scudder with 16 points, Stephanie Elsie had 10, Haley Kelsey and Caroline Slavin scored 4 points each, Abby McKim had 3, Emily Lodwig had 2, and Jessie Hill scored 1 point. In Friday night's 7th place boys game at the North Shelby tournament, Atlanta got off to a quick start and jumped out to a 15-8 lead over Brashear at the end of the first quarter, but Brashear stormed back and went into halftime with a 28-24 lead. By the end of the 3rd quarter, Brashear held a slim 39-38 lead and maintained a lead in the 4th despite a last-minute rally. As the clock ticked down to 0, Atlanta was able to get off a desperation shot that would have tied the game, but Brashear held on for the 49-46 win. For Brashear, Trey Treasure had 13 points, Kylie Watson had 12, Justin Hazen had 9, Matt Thomas and K.O. Watson scored 7 each, and Ryan Ferdig scored 1 point. Brashear visited Green City Tuesday night for a pair of varsity basketball games. The Brashear Lady Tigers got on the board first, but Green City soon answered and a seesaw battle was on. The score was tied 10-10 after 1 quarter of play, but Green City gained some ground in the 2nd quarter and led 21-16 going into halftime. Brashear came out strong in the 3rd quarter and turned the game around to take a 6-point lead before Green City pulled within a single point at 28-27 to end the 3rd quarter. The game remained close in the 4th, with Brashear holding a 1-point lead with under a minute and a half to go. After a couple of empty trips to the Lady Tiger end of the floor, Brashear surrendered their lead and were forced to foul, allowing Green City to pull away for a 42-37 win. Haley Kelsey led the way for Brashear with 10 points. Stephanie Elsie, Jessie Hill, and Christina Scudder scored 6 points each. Caroline Slavin had 5, and Emily Lodwig scored 4 points. In the boys' game, it was literally all Brashear in the first quarter as they jumped out to a 28-0 lead after the first frame. Green City finally got on the scoreboard in the second period as Brashear's offense cooled down and the Tigers took a 31-7 lead into the locker room. Brashear continued to outscore Green City in the second half and led 46-18 after 3 quarters on the way to a 62-30 victory. For Brashear, Cale Watson led all scorers with 17. Kylie Watson and Ryan Ferdig added 9 each. Trey Treasure had 8 points. David Anderson had 6. Matt Thomas had 5. Justin Hazen had 4. And Anthony Ambrosia and Adam Songer scored 2 points each.
Wednesday was the annual BHS Renaissance Breakfast at the Keller Building. Various coupons were handed out to the 3 different levels of excellence, and biscuits and gravy were served.
Brashear faced Canton last Friday for a pair of varsity basketball games. The Canton Lady Tigers showed why they have a top 10 ranking in the state as they jumped out to a 21-2 lead after 1 quarter of play and led 36-11 going into halftime. Canton extended their lead to 63-15 after 3 quarters and picked up the win by a margin of 67-21. Jessie Hill led the Brashear scoring efforts with 8 points. Haley Kelsey added 7, and Stephanie Elsie, Emily Lodwig, and Caroline Slavin scored 2 points each. In the boys' game, Canton jumped out to a 17-7 lead after 1 quarter and led 35-26 going into halftime. Brashear's Cale Watson had an 11-point third quarter to put Brashear up 50-49 after 3 periods of play. Brashear held a 53-49 lead in the early fourth quarter, but Josh Fellinger sank a 2 and a pair of 3s, and Canton had the lead. 13 fourth quarter Canton free throws sealed the deal, and Canton held on for the 70-62 win. Brashear's scoring honors were shared by Trey Treasure and Cale Watson with 19 points each. Kylie Watson added 11. Justin Hazen had 6. Ryan Ferdig had 4. And Matt Thomas scored 3 points. The Brashear varsity basketball teams traveled to Knox County Monday night for a pair of games. The Knox County Lady Eagles took control of the girls' game early, leading 16-4 after 1 quarter and 25-12 at halftime. Brashear was still down 37-24 after 3 quarters, but mounted a rally in the fourth that brought them within 3 points before Knox pulled away for the 42-34 win. For Brashear, Haley Kelsey led all scorers with 14 points, including a 12-for-14 performance from the charity stripe. Stephanie Elsie and Jessie Hill added 8 points each, and Emily Lodwig and Caroline Slavin scored 2 points each. The boys' game also saw Knox County jump out to an early lead of 19-11 after 1 period of play and 38-19 at halftime. The Eagles extended their lead to 61-29 after 3 quarters on their way to a 73-45 victory. Trey Treasure scored 14 for Brashear. Cale Watson added 12. Matt Thomas had 10. Kylie Watson had 4 points. Justin Hazen and David Anderson scored 2 points each, and Anthony Ambrosia had 1 point.
Due to bad weather, BHS was out this week for a day and a half, both delaying the tournament a day and forcing Brashear to double up a night, playing games at both Knox County and Brashear.
Thursday night, the Brashear Lady Tigers faced the North Shelby Lady Raiders in second-round tournament action. The North Shelby jumped out to 11-6 first quarter lead, but the Lady Tigers battled back to within 3 at halftime with a score of 14-11 in favor of the Lady Raiders. Things went downhill for Brashear in the second half as they scored only 1 point for the remainder of the game and lost with a final score of 30-12. Scorers for Brashear were Jessie Hill and Emily Lodwig with 4 points each, Haley Kelsey with 3, and Caroline Slavin with 1 point. In a first-round boys game between Brashear and Novinger, the Tigers took a first-quarter lead of 20-11 and never looked back. They extended this lead to 24 with a score of 41-17 at half and continued to dominate the rest of the game with a third-quarter score of 52-30 and ending with a final of 77-39. Brashear had 4 players in double digits, with Kale Watson scoring 15 points and Matt Thomas, Kylie Watson, and Trey Treasure scoring 14 points apiece. Other Brashear scorers included Jacob Shipman and Ryan Ferdig with 6 each, Justin Hazen with 4 points, and Anthony Ambrosia and Jacob Owen with 2 points each.
This past Saturday, Brashear's High School's Tabitha Killen and Jay Scudder joined dozens of other musicians from around the Midwest in the Truman State University Honors Band. The student musicians spent the day auditioning and rehearsing, then performed a concert Saturday night. Tabitha was 5th chair flute and Jay was 6th chair alto saxophone.
This week was homecoming week at BHS. As everyone prepared to tear Novinger to pieces, students took part in various games and activities within the week's festivities, such as dressing up like nerds, wrapping each other in toilet paper, and making posters representing each class. With Thursday being Valentine's Day, NHS decided to put balloons, candy, and stuffed gorillas on sale. Students placed over 140 orders, and NHS members put them together, then passed them out during 7th hour. The Brashear Tigers faced off against the Marion County Mustangs Friday night in the boys' championship semifinals. Marion County jumped out to a 7-4 first quarter lead, but Brashear came back to take a 22-17 lead into the half. Brashear still led 35-31 after 3 quarters, but the game remained in doubt all the way to the end. As the last seconds of the game ticked off the clock, the two teams were tied 48-48, but a last-second shot by Trey Treasure gave Brashear the win 50-48. Treasure led Tiger scoring with 17 points. Matt Thomas, Jacob Shipman, and Kale Watson had 8 points each. Kylie Watson had 5, and Ryan Ferdig scored 4 points.
The Brashear Lady Tigers trailed the Knox County Lady Eagles 6-5 after 1 quarter of the girls' third-place game. Knox County still led 18-16 at halftime and 31-30 after 3 quarters. Brashear then outscored Knox County 16-13 in the final frame to take the win 46-44. Haley Kelsey led the Lady Tigers with 17 points, Jessie Hill had 10, Stephanie Elsie had 9, Emily Lodwig had 5 points, Abby McKim had 4, and Caroline Slavin scored 1 point. The Brashear Tigers and Knox County Eagles also squared off in the boys' championship game. Knox County led 17-11 after 1 quarter and 32-28 at halftime. The Tigers still trailed by only 6, 51-45 after 3 quarters, but faded in the 4th quarter as Knox County claimed the tournament title with the 77-62 win. For Brashear, Trey Treasure had 19 points, Jacob Shipman added 10, Cale Watson had 9, Justin Hazen and Kylie Watson had 8 points each, Ryan Ferdig had 5, and Matt Thomas scored 3 points. Brashear traveled to Buckland Tuesday night for a pair of conference games. The Brashear Lady Tigers got off to a good start, taking a 10-6 lead after 1 quarter, and led 21-13 going into halftime. Brashear extended their lead 31-17 after 3 periods of play, and picked up the win by a margin of 40-24. Emily Lodwig led a balanced Tiger scoring attack with 10 points, Jessie Hill had 9, Haley Kelsey added 8, Caroline Slavin had 6, Stephanie Elsie had 5, and Abby McKim scored 2 points. In the boys' game, the Tigers spent the second quarter trying to dig themselves out of an 11-4 hole they had dug for themselves in the first quarter. Brashear ended the half still trailing 18-16. The second half was a seesaw battle as neither team could hold a lead. The score was tied 29-all at the end of the third quarter and was tied 39-all at the end of regulation play. The first overtime period didn't produce a winner as the score remained tied 41-all, but the Tigers finally got and kept a lead in the second overtime and got the double overtime win 51-45. Trey Treasure, Matt Thomas, and Cale Watson were all in double figures for the Tigers with 15, 13, and 11 points. Ryan Ferdig chipped in 6. Jacob Shipman had 4, and Kylie Watson scored 2 points.
This past week has been a busy one with many activities going on around the school. Last Friday was homecoming. Many activities were held throughout the week, and a pep rally was held Friday afternoon to get the student body fired up for the game. The cheerleaders did several routines, some humorous games were played, and the basketball players were introduced to an enthusiastic crowd. At halftime of the boys' game last Friday night, the homecoming Prince and Princess and King and Queen candidates were introduced to the crowd. Prince and Princess candidates included 7th graders Brittany Miller and Blake Flum, 8th graders Katie Smith and Joe Clarkson, freshmen Abby McKim and Dylan Redding. King and Queen candidates were sophomores Daisy Ledford and Robert Sapp, juniors Caroline Slavin and Jonathan Perry, and seniors Alexis Longano and Tony Rain. Last year's King and Queen, Tyler Blake and Kayla Hedinger, were on hand to crown the new royalty. Prince and Princess, Dylan Redding and Abby McKim, and King and Queen, Robert Sapp and Daisy Ledford. This year marks the 5th anniversary of the Brashear Lady Tigers' first state basketball championship. Between the girls' and boys' homecoming games last Friday night, a ceremony was held to honor the players from the 2 back-to-back state championship teams. Each player was presented with a souvenir hoodie, and all of them were introduced to the crowd. At the end of the introductions, the teams gathered at midcourt for one last All-Lady Tigers. Jump for Heart was held last Wednesday. With the help of the elementary student body, the event was extremely successful, raising $800 for the American Heart Association. A special thanks to Miss Stevens for refreshments and the girls basketball team for their help, but most importantly, Miss Fisher for sponsoring the event. This past Tuesday, the seniors of Brashear's 2008 graduating class were honored at Senior Recognition Night. Each senior and their parents were introduced with a brief biography. This year's seniors include David Anderson, Josiah Belzer, Tiffany Blake, Jeremy Clay, Jesse Hill, Tyler Horton, Haley Kelsey, Alexis Longano, JJ McFarland, Tony Ray, Christina Scudder, Monica Shaver, Jacob Shipman, and Kale Watson.
Last Friday, Brashear faced Novinger for homecoming night. In the girls' game, Brashear scored the first 4 points and led 13-6 after one quarter. Novinger bounced back in the second period of play and led 26-23 until a Haley Kelsey three-pointer tied the game as time expired in the first half. Brashear held a slim 38-37 lead after 3 quarters of play, and it was anybody's game as the clock ticked down with the score tied 48-48. Enter Caroline Slavin with a jumper from the elbow with 1.7 seconds left to seal the victory for Brashear. Slavin finished the night with 10 points for Brashear. Haley Kelsey and Jesse Hill were also in double figures with 16 and 12. Stephanie Elsie added 6, Emily Lodwig had 4, and Abby McKim scored 2 points. The Brashear boys jumped on Novinger early to take a 20-10 lead after one quarter and a 45-22 lead at halftime. By the end of the third quarter, Brashear had extended the lead to 66-36 and picked up the win by a final score of 78-45. Matt Thomas led all scorers with 19 points, with Kale Watson right behind him with 18 points. Trey Treasure added 13, Anthony Ambrosia had 7, Justin Hazen and Ryan Ferdig had 6 each, Kylie Watson had 4, David Anderson had 3, and Jacob Owen scored 2 points. Brashear faced North Shelby on Tuesday for senior night. When the Brashear Lady Tigers had last met the Lady Raiders during the Brashear tournament, things did not go well for Brashear. The Lady Tigers scored only 1 point in the second half of that loss as their offense tried to adjust to the loss of senior Christina Scudder, who had suffered a season-ending ACL injury a couple games earlier. It looked like North Shelby might have Brashear's number again as they held the Lady Tigers scoreless in the second quarter to take a 16-6 lead into the locker room. Brashear bounced back after halftime, turning the tables on North Shelby and holding them to only 5 points in the third quarter and 4 points in the final frame to grab a 29-25 win. Brashear still trailed 21-17 at the start of the fourth, but sank 8 of 9 free throws in the final quarter to seal the win. Haley Kelsey led all scorers with 16 points, including the go-ahead bucket in the final minutes of the game. Emily Lodwig followed with 9, including a clutch pair of free throws in the final seconds to seal the win. Jesse Hill and Caroline Slavin also chipped in 2 points each. The Brashear boys also came into this game with a score to settle after taking a 1-point last-second loss to North Shelby on the Raiders' home court during the North Shelby tournament. North Shelby got off to a fast start, running up a 19-10 lead after one quarter and leading 28-23 going into halftime. Brashear stayed close and closed within 46-42 after 3 quarters. Brashear got offensive production from 5 different players in the pivotal fourth quarter and outscored North Shelby 20-14 to pick up the win by a score of 62-60. Trey Treasure led a trio of Tigers in double figures with 17, including 9 in the final quarter. Kale Watson had 16, Matt Thomas scored 10, Kylie Watson had 8, Jacob Shipman added 7, and Justin Hazen and Ryan Ferdig scored 2 points each.
And now we leave you with the BHS Cheerleaders homecoming dance routine.
Junior Amber Alexander. Junior Hannah Bishop. Sophomore Alexis Carlson. Sophomore Ariel Smith. And sophomore Katie Stewart.
This past Friday, the Brashear chapter of the National Honor Society held their annual induction ceremony for new members. After the new members were sworn in the candlelight ceremony, a reception was held in the library for the new inductees, NHS members, parents, friends, and faculty. Congratulations to this year's new members, Justin Hazen, Tabitha Killen, Monica Shaver, Daniel Smith, and Matt Thomas. This past Monday marked the start of spring baseball practice. Even though the varsity basketball boys are still playing their season, all other players have reported to camp and are working hard preparing for their first game March 18th against North Shelby. Last Friday night, the Brashear Tigers traveled to conference opponent Macon County for their last regular season game of the year. In the girls' game, any two of the Lady Tigers' 6 players provided enough offense to match or overcome the Macon County Lady Raiders in a 68-15 romp. Brashear jumped out to a 14-3 lead after one quarter, then held Macon County scoreless in the second to go into halftime leading 39-3. The Lady Raiders found a little offensive spark in the third quarter, scoring 12 points, but Brashear answered with 17 of their own to lead 56-15. Brashear held Macon County scoreless again in the fourth to grab the 68-15 win. Haley Kelsey led Brashear with 19 points, Abby McKim had 13, Emily Lodwig scored 11, Caroline Slavin and Jessie Hill had 10 points each, and Stephanie Elsie scored 5 points. The boys' game was a barn burner that saw numerous lead changes through the first 3 quarters of play. Macon County led 17-16 after the first quarter and 26-23 at halftime. Macon County then held a 40-36 advantage after 3 periods of play, then caught fire early in the fourth quarter and ran up a double-digit lead before Brashear fought back within 4 points with under a minute left. The Tigers could not close the gap further and took the loss by a score of 52-57. For Brashear, Cale Watson and Trey Treasure were in double figures with 13 and 12 points. Kylie Watson and Ryan Fertig had 7 points each. Jacob Shipman had 6, Matt Thomas had 5, and Justin Hazen scored 2 points. The boys' basketball team started district play this past Saturday. The number 2 seed Tigers jumped out to a 19-5 lead after one quarter against the number 7 seed Green City Gophers. Things continued to go all Brashear's way as they went into halftime up 33-5. Green City held their own in the second half, but that still left them down 42-12 after 3 quarters and 58-26 at the final buzzer. Cale Watson led Brashear scoring with 11 points. Kylie Watson, Jacob Shipman, and Ryan Fertig each had 10. Trey Treasure scored 8 points. Matt Thomas had 3. And Anthony Ambrosia, David Anderson, and Jacob Owen had 2 points each. The Brashear Lady Tigers faced Novinger Monday night in first-round district action. Brashear used an 8-point first quarter by senior Haley Kelsey to jump out to a 10-7 lead, but Novinger limited the Lady Tigers to a pair of free throws during the second quarter to turn the game around, taking a 21-12 lead into the locker room. Novinger extended their lead to 32-21 after 3 quarters, before Brashear mounted a fourth quarter rally that fell short, giving Novinger the 38-31 win. Haley Kelsey led all scorers with 14 points for Brashear. Jessie Hill chipped in 9, Emily Lodwig had 6, and Stephanie Elsie scored 2 points. The Brashear boys came into Tuesday night's second-round game against Macon County looking for revenge after suffering a loss at Macon County last Friday to end regular season play. It soon became apparent that the Tigers would get that revenge when they turned a small 14-10 first quarter advantage into a 29-14 halftime lead. Brashear's momentum slowed somewhat in the third quarter as Macon County pulled within 35-24 before the Tigers recorded a strong fourth quarter to win 49-28. For Brashear, Trey Treasure scored 18 points, Matt Thomas added 8, Kylie Watson had 7, and Justin Hazen, Jacob Shipman, Ryan Fertig, and Cale Watson scored 4 points each.
Congratulations to the following Brashear players named to the Tri-County All-Conference basketball team. First team picks included Haley Kelsey, Jesse Hill, Cale Watson, and Trey Treasure. Second team selections were Christina Scudder, Matt Thomas, and Jacob Shipman, and Kylie Watson was named to the honorable mention team.
13 Brashear band students auditioned last Saturday for a spot in the Tri-County All-Conference Band. This band consisted of 81 members from the 9 conference schools and performed 3 concerts on Monday in New Cambria, Buckland, and Lynn County. Band members included percussionist Katie Smith, Justin Mihalovich, and Stephanie Elsie, saxophones Jay Scudder, Chloe Sykes, and Olivia Thompson, flute Tabitha Killen, clarinets Christina Scudder and Rachel Ferguson, bass clarinet Andy Belzer, trombone Sydney Slavin, and French horn Katie Stewart, and euphonium Austin Alexander. Congratulations to first chair players Jay Scudder, Austin Alexander, and Sydney Slavin. This week marked the start of Academic Bowl season for Brashear High. The junior high team started Tuesday with a 380-60 win over Lynn County. Wednesday, they defeated Buckland in a close game 320-305, and they picked up a win over Bevier 410-165 on Thursday. The high school got a forfeit win on Tuesday against Lynn County. They picked up a win in Buckland Wednesday 310-80 and defeated Bevier 180-105 on Thursday night.
That is correct.
Brashear played La Plata Friday night for the district finals in Lynn County. Through the first half, neither team could gain more than a point or two advantage, and the score was tied at halftime. In the third quarter, La Plata briefly built a 5-point lead, but Brashear clawed their way back to take a 5-point lead of their own in the fourth quarter. La Plata was no more willing to go away in the fourth than Brashear had been in the third, and tied the game once again. In the final minute, it appeared that Brashear had finally gained the upper hand as they had possession of the ball and started to work the clock down for a final shot. La Plata committed a foul trying to get the ball back, but that just put Brashear into the bonus where any further fouls would send the Tigers to the line with a chance to break the tie. As the game clock finally ticked into single digits, Brashear made their move and managed to get off a pair of hotly contested shots, but neither shot would fall. In the overtime, 2 trips down the floor and 2 three-pointers by La Plata gave La Plata an unsurmountable lead, and the Tigers a 54-59 overtime loss against the defending district champs. For Brashear, seniors Cale Watson and Jacob Shipman had 13 points each, Trey Treasure had 12, Kylie Watson had 6, and Ryan Fertig scored 2 points. On Tuesday, 26 members of the Brashear chapter of FBLA attended district contests at Truman State University in Kirksville. It was a very successful day for Brashear as we had 23 top 10 scorers. We also advanced to state competition in 10 events. Those qualifying for state include David Anderson, Caroline Slavin, Christina Scudder, Jay Scudder, Tabitha Killen, Matt Thomas, and Hunter Higgins. This past week has been a busy one for the Academic Bowl teams. On Monday, they traveled to Novinger where they picked up a pair of wins. The junior high won by a margin of 340 to 170, and the varsity took their match 385 to 145. On Tuesday, the junior high picked up a win by forfeit, and the varsity got a win the old-fashioned way by defeating Green City 225 to 40. Atlanta came to town Thursday for a pair of matches. In the junior high game, Brashear won 390 to 170. In the varsity match, Brashear won 200 to 60. Both teams are now 6-0 on the season, and the Conference Academic Bowl tournament will be held Saturday at Novinger.
This past week has marked the beginning of both high school and junior high track practice, with the first track meet being on March 25th at Knox County, though the baseball players have been practicing outside with their first game being on March 18th against North Shelby. March is Music in Our Schools Month. This has been celebrated throughout the school by listening to music before school and showing what type of instruments the faculty play and what kind of music they listen to. Last Friday, the juniors went skiing for magazine sales. The juniors had to sell over $300 worth of magazines to go. The trip consisted of stopping at Des Moines, Iowa at the mall and then going skiing in Ogden, Iowa from there. This past Monday was one of the elementary's evening and education night. This served as an author night where each student got to show the book they created from a bear book, a book fair where students could purchase books, and a science fair where the students could share each of their science projects. This past Saturday proved to be a success for both BHS Academic Bowl teams. Both teams took first with 4 wins at the conference tournament. Junior high scored 410 to 245 over Buckland, 485 to 155 over Novinger, 530 to 125 over Macon County, and 505 to 105 over Macon County to take first. The high school scored 210 to 45 over Linn County, 350 to 175 over La Plata, 340 to 170 over Buckland, and 270 to 125 to take it over Brashear.
Congratulations to the 4 Brashear Academic Bowl players that were named to the all-conference team. These players included high schoolers Josiah Belzer, Christina Scudder, and Caroline Slavin, and junior high player Jay Scudder. Josiah Belzer and Jay Scudder earned the additional honor of being named MVP of the high school and junior high teams, respectively. This Monday, the Academic Bowl teams headed to La Plata for a meet and emerged victorious yet again, with the junior high winning 435 to 120 and the high school winning 355 to 145. The next night, they traveled to Macon County, claiming a win with the junior high 545 to 65 and another win with the high school 275 to 55. These games concluded conference play and gave conference titles to both teams yet again. Both finished with perfect 8-0 records. This Wednesday, the Brashear FBLA members took a trip to Burlington, Iowa. While there, they toured the business side of Fun City, learning about its recent expansions from an economic standpoint. They then toured Weingard, a satellite and antenna company, seeing the assembly lines and the impressive 800-ton press. After the tours, the group enjoyed a pizza buffet provided by Fun City and then spent the afternoon enjoying go-karts, laser tag, bowling, and arcade games before heading home.
On Tuesday, Brashear was visited by Missouri State Highway Patrol Officer Brett Bernhardt, who came to speak about the importance of wearing a seatbelt. Officer Bernhardt then allowed volunteer students to ride a seatbelt convincer. This machine allowed the students to experience a crash of 5 miles per hour and showed the students how much of a difference wearing a seatbelt matters.
Track season got underway Tuesday as the varsity squad headed to Knox County for a 10-team meet. The boys' team took first place and the girls placed 7th. Haley Kelsey and Ryan Fertig both placed 3rd in the 100-meter dash. Kelsey also took 5th in the 200-meter dash. David Anderson took 1st in the 400-meter and Danielle Hoskin took 6th. In the 800-meter run, Jesse Hill took 5th and Justin Hazen took 6th. Hazen took 1st in the 1600-meter and Josiah Belzer and Jesse Hill both took 3rds. Belzer and Hazen teamed up for a 2-3 finish in the 3200-meter and Stephanie Elsie took 5th. The boys 4x100 team took 1st and the girls took 6th. The boys 4x200 took 5th and the girls took 6th. The boys 4x400 took 1st and the girls took 5th. And the boys 4x800 took 3rd and the girls took 4th. Stephanie Elsie and Matt Thomas both took 2nd in the high hurdles. Caroline Slavin placed 5th, and Cale Watson took 3rd after taking a nasty spill while in the lead going over the last hurdle. Watson and Trey Treasure had a 2-4 finish in the low hurdles. David Anderson took 3rd in the long jump and Jacob Sweet took 6th. Matt Thomas took 5th in the triple jump and Justin Hazen claimed 6th. Cale Watson and David Anderson teamed up for a 1-3 finish in the high jump. The junior high track team also had their first meet this week at Atlanta, but currently no results are yet available. The Brashear baseball team headed to Knox County for their first games of the season Wednesday night. The varsity squad jumped on the boards in the first inning with a run, but Knox County plated a pair of runs in the bottom half of the inning. Brashear tied the game at 2-2 in the top of the second, and the score was tied 6-6 after 4 innings. Things came unglued for the Tigers in the 5th inning when Knox County scored 10 runs to take the game by a score of 16-6. Jacob Shipman led the Tiger offense with a 2-for-3 evening, including a 3-run homer in the 4th. Kylie Watson also went 2-for-3, and Justin Hazen, Cody Hayden, and Cody Snelling also had hits. Matt Thomas got the start for Brashear with Michael McKim and Cale Watson pitching in relief. The JV contest saw Brashear surrender 3 runs in the first, then battle their way back within a run at 3-2 in the top of the third. The game ended as a 2-out steal attempt of home ended with the runner being thrown out.
This week, while most of the school has been hard at work map testing, several of the classes that were not taking tests have been participating in a variety of activities. On Monday, these students took part in a poverty simulation in the morning, then spent the afternoon enjoying an inflatable bungee pit brought by the National Guard. On Tuesday, they were given a presentation on financial matters and how to stay out of debt. Despite numerous reschedulings, the Kirksville Varsity Quad Track Meet was finally held Tuesday. Although team placings were not given, the Brashear athletes held their own and took many of the top spots. For the girls, the 4x400 team took 2nd, Jessie Hill took 3rd in the mile, and Abby McKim took 3rd in the discus. Haley Kelsey was 4th in the 100-meter dash and in the 200-meter dash, and Caroline Slavin took 4th in the 300-meter hurdles. For the boys, Cale Watson took 1st in the high jump, the 110 high hurdles, and the 300-meter hurdles, and Justin Hazen took 1st in the 2-mile. Second place finishers were Matt Thomas in the 110 high hurdles, Justin Hazen in the mile, and the 4x100 relay team. Third place finishers included the 4x8 team, Matt Thomas in the triple jump, David Anderson in the 400, Josiah Belzer in the 800 and the 2 mile, and the 4x400 relay team. The 4x200 team took fourth as well as Josiah Belzer in the mile and Trey Treasure in the 300-meter hurdles. The Brashear Band headed to Kirksville last Saturday to participate in the district band contest, where they earned an excellent rating, placing themselves higher than nearly all of the other small bands present. Several of these band members will also be playing this Saturday as they perform their solos at the District Solos and Ensembles contest in Salisbury. Congratulations to Abigail Hall, Allison Thompson, Courtney Moncrief, and Andy Belzer for being selected as Young Achievers. This program encourages student leaders by recognizing and applauding positive achievement, behavior, leadership, and service. Students selected must be successful achievers in a variety of areas, positive role models, and competent scholars with good attendance records.
Congratulations to Richard Coy on placing first in his action skills contest and Ryan Frederick, who placed third in his auto body contest on Friday, March 2nd at Eola for the Skills USA contest. Richard will advance to the state competition to be held on April 3rd through the 5th.
On Monday, Brashear beat out the rain that has canceled several track meets and 2 other baseball games this week in order to take a pair of varsity JV wins against Green City. In the varsity game, Brashear jumped out to a 4-0 lead after 1 inning of play and scored another 6 runs in the second on their way to a 19-2 win. Brashear's starting pitcher, Cale Watson, settled in and kept the Gophers off the scoreboard until they scored a run in the third. Cody Hayden and Cody Snelling each pitched an inning of relief. Watson led the Brashear offense with 2 hits, including a home run. Jacob Shipman and Hayden Coyne also had 2 hits each, and Cody Hayden, Kylie Watson, Michael McKim, and Brandon Gordon also had hits. The JV game was a seesaw battle, as Green City scored a pair of runs to hold a 2-1 lead after 1 inning. Brashear put 5 runs across in the second to lead 6-2. In the top of the third, Green City scored 5 times to retake the lead 7-6. Brashear bounced back once more in the bottom of the third as Cody Snelling hit a 2-out, 2-run homer to give the Tigers an 8-7 win.
Saturday, April 5th, 2008 was the junior-senior prom. Students first attended Grand March at 5 o'clock to allow friends and family to take pictures. Students then were allowed to eat wherever they chose. Then, prom was held at the Baptist Student Union from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. They then had an hour to change before after prom, where fabulous prizes and money were given away. The BHS Academic Bowl team finished their season on Saturday, going undefeated in pool play and losing in the title game to North Shelby. The teams finished with a record of 15-1. Congratulations to 5th grade teacher Louise Smith, who won a $10,000 grant from Toyota for her Penguins and Paws, the Arctic Connection project. This project teaches students about the ecosystems in Antarctica and in Missouri, using methods such as writing a journal, reading, discussion, and at-home investigations. Students will study ecosystems in both areas. On Monday, the 5th grade class graduated from their DARE course. DARE is a drug awareness program that is taught by a public police officer. DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education.
Brashear was one of 26 school districts in the Northeast Missouri area honored by the state at a banquet April 8th in Kirksville. At this banquet, the school was presented with the 2008 Distinction and Performance Award. This is the third year that Brashear has received this award. Several members of the administration and school board were on hand to receive the award. The Kirksville Varsity Invitational Track Meet was held Monday with the boys team taking 6th overall and the girls team taking 10th. For the girls, Haley Kelsey took 6th in the 200-meter dash and 8th in the 100-meter dash. Jessie Hill finished 7th in the mile. The 4x100 team took 7th, and the 4x400 team took 8th. For the boys, David Anderson took 3rd in the long jump, 5th in the high jump, and 5th in the 100-meter dash. Josiah Belzer took 5th in the 2-mile and 7th in the 800. The 4x800 team took 5th, and the 4x400 team placed 8th. Tony Rain finished 6th in both 110-meter hurdles and the 300-meter hurdles, while Trey Treasure took 7th in the 300-meter hurdles. The junior high track team traveled to Knox County Thursday for a track meet in which the boys took 4th overall and the girls took 9th. For the girls, Sierra Hines took 3rd in the 75-meter hurdles, Chloe Sykes took 4th in the mile and 6th in the 800, and Macy Rogers took 4th in the triple jump and 5th in the high jump. For the boys, the 4x400 team finished 1st. Joseph Woods took 2nd in both the mile and the 400 and took 4th in the high jump. Daniel Anderson took 4th in the triple jump, 5th in the 400, and 5th in the 200. Nick Thomas had a 4th place finish in the discus, and Taryn Treasure finished 5th in the shot put. Andy Belzer took 6th in the mile, and Hayden Hausman took 6th in the triple jump.
As we finally had some sunny weather during the first part of the week, the baseball team was finally able to get back on the field. The Tigers hosted the Macon County Raiders Monday night. Brashear got the offense going early, putting up 4 runs in the first and again in the third, and adding 7 more in the second inning. Matt Thomas pitched 4 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts for Brashear, with Jacob Shipman coming on in relief in the 5th. Cale Watson had a 3 RBI home run. Michael McKim also drove in 3 runs on 2 hits, and Jacob Shipman had 2 RBIs. Matt Thomas, Cody Hayden, Adam Songer, and Cody Snelling and Dylan Redding also had hits for the Tigers. On Tuesday night, Brashear was back on the field again as Milan came to town for a varsity JV doubleheader. The varsity game was a defensive struggle as Brashear scored a pair of runs in the second and then held on for a 2-1 win. Milan's lone run came in the 5th. Michael McKim went the distance on the mound for Brashear to pick up the win while fanning 4 batters. Brashear's first run came after Cale Watson turned a leadoff single, a stolen base, and a Cody Snelling sacrifice into a run. Hayden Coyne added the second run with a solo homer. Matt Thomas, Jacob Shipman, and Cody Hayden also had hits. In the JV contest, Milan scored in the top of the first, with Brashear answering with a pair of runs in the bottom of the first. Milan tied the game 2-2 before Brashear pushed a run across in the 4th to claim a 3-2 win.
The Brashear FBLA spent Sunday through Tuesday at the State Leadership Conference in Columbia. While there, they attended leadership workshops and received the results for those who participated in competitive events. Congratulations to Tabitha Killen, who placed first in Intro to Business Communications. She will now be attending the National Leadership Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, which takes place June 26th through the 29th. Other top 10 finishers were Christina Scudder with a 4th place finish in accounting and a 9th place finish in technology concepts, and Jay Scudder with a 6th place finish in Introduction to Business Communications and a 10th place finish in Introduction to Technology Concepts. Congratulations to the 3 Brashear members of the 2007-2008 Kirksville Youth Leadership Institute who graduated Wednesday. These members include Courtney Clarkson, Adrian Mountain, and Caroline Slavin. KYLI is a program for local high school juniors that promotes leadership and community involvement.
Congratulations to Hayden Coyne, Ryan Ferdig, and Morgan Taylor for making the state competition in woodwork, Nick Bradshaw for making the state competition in leatherwork, and Joe Clarkson for making the state competition in exploratory technology.
Congratulations to Christina Scudder, who was recently honored at a pair of recognition banquets. She was named to the Missouri Secondary School Principals Association Missouri Top 100 Scholars list and also the Academic All-State list by the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association.
The Brashear PTS was at school to make their annual donation of books for young readers. As the elementary classes filed through in turn, each student was allowed to select a book to keep for their own, to encourage reading. Representing PTS were Shelley Story and Elaine Scudder. State University to do a variety of chemistry examples for both the 3rd and 4th grades. This was a real treat for both grades as they got to enjoy several different chemistry experiments.
Wednesday night, Bevere came to town for a baseball varsity JV doubleheader. In the varsity game, the Tigers put up 4 runs in the first inning, then extended their lead to 7-0 before Bevere got on the board in the top of the 4th with 3 runs. Both teams continued to add to their totals, but Brashear ended up on top 13-7. Matt Thomas and Kylie Watson both homered for the Tigers, with Thomas gathering 3 hits on the night. Justin Hazen, Jacob Shipman, and Kylie Watson had 2 hits each, and Cale Watson also had a hit. Hazen and Kylie Watson each drove in 3 runs, Shipman drove in 2, and Thomas, Cale Watson, Hayden Coyne, and Brandon Gordon all had RBIs. Thomas was the winning pitcher going the distance and striking out 11. In the JV game, Brashear jumped out to a 2-0 lead, but Bevere came back to take a 4-2 lead. Brashear managed to push across 3 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning to claim the 5-4 victory.
The Brashear varsity track team participated in the Atlanta Relays on Wednesday and took overall places of 3rd for the girls and 6th for the boys. For the girls, Haley Kelsey took 2nd in the 200, 3rd in the 100 and 400, and 4th in the long jump. Jessie Hill finished 4th in the 800, 5th in the triple jump, and 6th in the mile. Stephanie Elsey took 4th in the 100-meter hurdles and 5th in the 300-meter hurdles. Abby McKim took 5th in the discus, and the 4x8 team finished 3rd. For the boys team, David Anderson finished 2nd in the 400, and 4th in the 100, the triple jump, and the long jump. Josiah Belzer took 1st in the mile and 3rd in the 800. Tony Rain took 5th in the 300-meter hurdles and 6th in the 100-meter hurdles, and the 4x8 team finished 2nd.
On Monday, the Save a Life Tour visited the high school, where they shared their real-life testimony about how drunk driving had affected their lives. Then students were allowed to test a simulator that showed them how drunkenness affected their driving and motor skills.
Hi girls, 400
The Brashear Junior High girls track team took third last Saturday at the conference track meet, while the boys team took second. For the girls, Chloe Sykes took first in the mile and fourth in the 400. Sierra Hines took second in the triple jump and third in the 75-meter hurdles. Wendy Clarkson took fifth in the 800 and seventh in the 75-meter hurdles. Katie Smith placed second in the mile and seventh in the 800. Macy Rogers took second in the high jump, fourth in the triple jump, and fifth in the long jump. The 4x100 and 4x200 teams both took sixth, and the 800-meter medley team placed second. For the boys' team, Hayden Hausman took sixth in the 100 and third in the triple jump. Austin Alexander took seventh in the 100. Daniel Anderson placed eighth in the 200 and fifth in the 400. Joseph Woods took second in the 400, first in the mile, and fifth in the high jump. Andy Belzer took second in the 100-meter hurdles, fifth in the 800, third in the mile, and seventh in the long jump. Nick Thomas placed third in the 100-meter hurdles and fourth in the discus. Taryn Treasure took third in the shot put and seventh in the discus. Joe Clarkson took fourth in the shot put. The 4x100 team took third, and the 800-meter medley team took first. The Brashear varsity also attended the conference meet last Saturday, with the boys' team taking first overall and the girls' team taking second. For the girls, Haley Kelsey took third in the 100, third in the 200, and second in the 400. Jessie Hill took third in the 800, the mile, and the 2-mile, and sixth in the triple jump. Christina Scudder placed second in the shot put and fourth in the discus. Adrian Mountain took sixth in the 200, Abby McKim took sixth in the 400, fifth in the mile, and second in the discus. Stephanie Elsie placed sixth in both the 100-meter hurdles and the 300-meter hurdles, and fourth in the 2-mile. Caroline Slavin took seventh in the 100-meter hurdles, fourth in the 300-meter hurdles, and second in the 800. Shelby Creason placed seventh in the shot put. The 4x100 team took fifth, the 4x400 team took second, and the 4x800 team took fourth. For the boys' team, David Anderson placed third in the 100, first in the 400, and third in the long jump. Hayden Coyne took sixth in the 100 and 200. Tony Rain took fifth in the 200 and fourth in the 400. Cale Watson took first in the 110-meter hurdles, the 300-meter hurdles, and the high jump, and third in triple jump. Matt Thomas took fourth in the 110-meter hurdles and sixth in the long jump. Trey Treasure took fourth in the 300-meter hurdles, fifth in the triple jump, and third in the shot put. Josiah Belzer placed first in the 800 and third in both the mile and the 2-mile. Justin Hazen took fourth in the 800 and second in the mile and 2-mile. Kylie Watson took sixth in both the shot put and discus. The 4x100, 4x400, and 4x800 teams each took first, and the 4x200 team took second.
Brashear participated in the Putnam County varsity relays Tuesday, with the boys' team tying for fifth and the girls' team taking ninth. For the girls, Jessie Hill took second in the 2-mile, and Stephanie Elsie took third in the 100-meter hurdles. The 4x8 team placed fifth, and the 4x1, 4x2, and 4x4 teams each took eighth. For the boys' team, David Anderson took second in the 200, third in the 400 and the long jump, and fourth in the 100. Josiah Belzer took third in both the 800 and the mile. Tony Rain took sixth in the 110-meter hurdles, and Trey Treasure took fourth in the shot put. The 4x4 team placed sixth, and the 4x8 team took fourth.
Brashear traveled to La Plata Tuesday for a varsity JV baseball matchup. Matt Thomas started off the game with a bruise. After being hit by a pitch, he managed to steal second, and 2 batters later, Jacob Shipman drove him in to give the Tigers a 1-0 lead. That lead was short-lived as La Plata jumped on the board with 6 runs in the bottom of the first on their way to an 11-1 win. Cale Watson also had a hit for the Tigers, and Michael McKim took the loss on the mound, going 4 innings with Matt Thomas pitching 1.2 innings of relief. In the JV game, Brashear got things going in the top of the second as Hayden Coyne drew a leadoff walk, Jay Scudder hit a long single to right center, moving Coyne to third, and Richard Coy drew a walk to load the bases. Matt Thomas stepped to the plate and drove a ball deep over the right field fence for a grand slam, giving Brashear a 4-0 lead. The night's scoring was far from done as La Plata put up 4 runs of their own in the bottom of the second. Brashear scored again in the third as Coyne walked, then Scudder, Justin Hazen, Dylan Redding, and Adam Songer all had hits to add another 4 runs. Ultimately, the Tigers couldn't hold on to the lead, and La Plata took the game 10-8.
Sunday was Miss Bradley's retirement dinner. Many old, current, and new faculty members arrived to show their support for her. Then, as the meal was being prepared, the guests were treated to several different types of reindeer games. Finally, the guests then enjoyed a succulent meal. Monday night was the annual Brashear Awards Banquet. A carrying supper was held for both the students and parents. Then awards were given in several different categories, such as academic ball, band, cheerleading, baseball, softball, track, and junior high and varsity basketball. Wednesday was the senior trip. The class took the day off in order to travel to Chicago. They met at school at 4 a.m. in order to catch the train in Quincy to ride to Chicago. Later, they went to Abner Bevick's for dinner and a show. Then, did some shopping at Nike Town, the Miracle Mile, then finished the day by visiting the Shedd Aquarium and watching the Dolphin Show.
Thursday night, the annual Spring Concert and Arts Show was held. The various bands and choruses performed along with several soloists. After the concert, the public was invited to enjoy the artwork and industrial arts projects on display in the cafeteria. The district track meet was held last Saturday at Kirksville. Brashear finished first overall with the boys team and ninth overall with the girls team, and had athletes qualify for sectionals in 12 events. These sectional qualifiers include Christina Scudder in the discus, David Anderson in the 400, the long jump, the 4x1, and the 4x4, Cale Watson in the 110-meter hurdles, the 300-meter hurdles, the high jump, and the 4x1, Matt Thomas in the 110-meter hurdles and the 4x1, Josiah Belzer in the 800, the mile, and the 4x8, Justin Hazen in the mile, 2-mile, and 4x8, Jacob Owen in the 4x4 and the 4x8, Ryan Ferdig in the 4x1, Trey Treasure and Tony Rain both in the 4x4, and Kylie Watson in the 4x8. Brashear's baseball team faced La Plata Tuesday for a varsity JV doubleheader. La Plata wasted no time getting on the scoreboard as they scored twice on a Curtis Bunch single and a Dusty Baker home run. The Tigers got on the board in the third as Brandon Gordon and Cale Watson both singled, and Matt Thomas drove them in with a 2 RBI triple. The other Tiger run came in the fifth as Cody Snelling drew a walk, and Justin Hazen drove him in. Brashear's 3 runs weren't enough as La Plata went on to tally 16 of their own to get the win. Matt Thomas took the loss for Brashear with Cale Watson pitching in relief. In the JV contest, La Plata came out on top 6-2. After falling behind in the early going, the JV Tigers got a pair of runs in the third as Richard Coy was hit by a pitch, Michael McKim singled, and Dylan Redding walked. Cody Snelling then reached on an error driving in a run, and Brandon Gordon drew a bases-loaded walk driving in another run. It looked like Brashear might score again in the fourth as Daniel Smith started out the inning with a double, and Jay Scudder reached first on a drop third strike, but both runners ended up stranded on base.
Congratulations to Ryan Freddy, Joe Clarkson, Nick Bradshaw, Hayden Coyne, and Morgan Taylor for making it to State Industrial Arts Competition. Joe Clarkson took a clock in can cooler and technology exploration. Nick Bradshaw took a billfold in industrial crafts. Morgan Taylor and Hayden Coyne both took clocks in woods, and Ryan Freddy took a deer mount in woods. Friday, the kindergarten held their annual circus. After many weeks of practice and hard work, Miss Feeney's kindergarten class got to show off their practice by dressing up like many circus characters and animals, and performing for the school and their parents. The students got to perform many songs and other various comedy acts. Then the parents were welcomed to the kindergarten classroom for refreshments.
The sectional track meet was held last Saturday at Mocaine. Brashear athletes that competed included Christina Scudder, David Anderson, Justin Hazen, Kale Watson, Jacob Owen, Josiah Belzer, Matt Thomas, Tony Rain, Kylie Watson, and Trey Treasure. Of these participants, 4 will be moving on and competing at the state track meet this Saturday at Jeff City. These 4 include Kale Watson, who took first in the 110-meter hurdles, Christina Scudder, who placed second in the discus, David Anderson, who took 4th in the 400, and Justin Hazen, who finished 4th in the 2-mile. Other sectional placings include David Anderson with a 5th place finish in the long jump, Kale Watson with a 6th place finish in the high jump and a 7th place finish in the 300-meter hurdles, the 4x100 team taking 6th, the 4x400 team placing 8th, the 4x800 team taking 6th, and Justin Hazen and Josiah Belzer taking 6th and 7th in the mile. Brashear traveled to Canton last Friday for a varsity baseball matchup. Brashear jumped on the board in the first with a pair of runs as leadoff batter Kale Watson legged out an infield hit, then cleanup hitter Jacob Shipman drove a ball over the right center fence for a 2-out home run. Canton answered with a pair of runs in the bottom of the first, and then jumped into the lead in the bottom of the second, scoring 7 runs. Brashear went on to put up 9 runs, including back-to-back homers by Matt Thomas and Shipman in the fourth. Canton added another 6 runs in the third and 4 runs in the fifth to get the win 19-9. For Brashear, Jacob Shipman went 3 for 3 with a pair of homers and 4 RBIs. Matt Thomas had a homer and 2 RBIs. Kale Watson and Adam Songer also had hits, and Kylie Watson, Cody Hayden, and Brandon Gordon had RBIs. Shipman, Hayden, and Songer got the duties on the mound in Brashear's losing effort.
Brashear faced the North Shelby Raiders Monday in a first-round district game. The Raiders jumped on the board in the first inning on the way to a 14-2 win over Brashear. Brashear's offense didn't come until the third as Adam Songer walked, eventually scoring, and again in the fifth when Matt Thomas hit a solo home run. Thomas took the loss with Michael McKim pitching in relief. Justin Hazen also had a hit in Brashear's losing efforts. The Tigers ended their spring campaign with a 4-4 record.
Last Friday, 4 Brashear track and field athletes headed to Jefferson City for the state track meet. Senior Kale Watson had qualified the week before in sectionals with his season best time of 16:83 in the 110-meter high hurdles. Kale made a strong showing in his last state meet, taking 10th place. Senior David Anderson had also run a personal best the week before in the 400-meter dash. David also finished strong with a 13th place at state. Junior Justin Hazen had come close to the school record in qualifying for state and came within 1 second of the record in taking a 12th place finish at state. Senior Christina Scudder hadn't expected to compete in track this year after suffering a torn ACL and reconstructive surgery in February. After receiving her doctor's clearance to throw discus balancing on just her good leg, she managed to qualify for state and made the state finals for the first time in 3 years, taking 9th with a throw of 100 feet 1 inch.